The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming along today. Can you just drop something in the chat box to let me know that you can hear me okay? Hey Avi, how you doing? Awesome. Get a lot of hellos. Yes, I can hear you. Sounds good. Fantastic. So this is like a getting started training call for Convertri. As like you'll probably know if you've been with us a little while, if you've hung around in the Facebook group a bit, we're trying to do these a bit more often to help people get started, show people around the app a little bit better. We've been doing them for a few weeks, but this is actually the first one that I personally have done. So be gentle, I guess, but I hope it goes well. So what we are going to do on this call is we are going to build a page like this one. A simple squeeze page where someone can enter their name and their email and then get forwarded on to another page like this one, where they will be able to download your lead magnet, and that will be done using Convertri's file delivery system. So it'll be a simple lead funnel done entirely within Convertri. That I'm guessing will probably take about 20-25 minutes thereabouts, and then after that we are going to go into a more complicated page, and I'm going to show you a few things that I find make using the editor a lot easier, a lot smoother. So can I just check? Oh, good point. Cindy is asking who's speaking. Who is speaking is, well, it's me. I am Neil. I'm one of the co-founders of Convertri. If we just go to the website here, that is me there in that rather spectacular red hat. So, hey there, CB. Good day to you too. So can I just check first of all, like I said, this is obviously absolutely everyone is welcome. I hope everyone will get something out of it, but it is aimed at like people who are new to the application, new to Convertri. Can I just check how much experience with Convertri do you have? Just drop something in the chat and let me know. Speak a little slower. I will try. Everyone wants that hat, Patrick. Awesome. Lots of beginners, very little, no experience at all from the beginning. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Let's dive in and see what we can do. So obviously after the demo's done, I will be hanging around for probably about an hour, a bit longer, to basically to take any questions you've got. So any questions that you have, put them in the chat. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat box on the way through. But at the end, we'll go through, and for as long as I can, I'll go through and just answer any questions that you have. So we are going to start by creating a new page. And this here is the template selector. And you can see there's a lot of templates to choose from. You can type in the search box. So you can type in, say, sales and get a list of templates relating to that. We're not going to use a template for this demo. We're going to build things, let's say, completely from scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is click that create a page from scratch button and just add in the name. There we are. So we've now got an entirely blank page. Lawrence is asking, will we have a chance to build this along with you in your own account? Actually, that's a really good idea. I did not think of it. You'll be able to do, you can do something similar if you want. Obviously, you can load up Convertri. You can try and follow along what I'm doing. I've got a couple of resources like the images and that kind of thing prepared already. So you won't have access to those. But actually, like I say, that is that is a really good idea. For one of these in the future, I'll try and like do a similar call, but where we provide all the stuff to you in advance, so you can just do it with us. That's okay. So starting off, we are going to build a page that looks kind of like this one. And so the first thing I'm going to do is add that big image that goes along the middle. And so we'll drag the image element from the toolbar. And there's a load of images here which I've already used in this account in the past. You can also search Pixabay. Like we have that integration just right in there. So you can type something like woman, hit search, and there'll be a load of suggestions from Pixabay. Like I really actually love that platform. I get so much stuff from here. But as I said, I do have one prepared at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I've got my file here. I'm just going to drag it onto the image manager, and that will upload it into Convertri. You just need to give that a minute. There we are. So she's in there. I'll select that and select, and there we are. The image is in there. Now we can just drag and move this wherever we want, but what we want is for it to look like a bit more like that, so obviously far larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button in the Quick Actions toolbar to make it full width. And then we'll grow that a bit just using these drag handles. And I don't have a particular size I'm aiming at here. I'm mostly doing this by eye, what I think looks good. So let's say about there. I think that looks all right. And then we're going to do these top and bottom panels. So to do that, we will drag on a panel element, again from over here. Default is this fairly neutral gray color. We don't really want that, but we'll change it in a minute. And again, we'll just change the size so that about snaps to the top of that image. What was this? Lawrence is asking, did I click the HTML element to put the photo there? I did not click the HTML element. What I clicked was the image element here. So it's the third one down on the elements toolbar, and that just got dragged in, and then selecting the image from the options. So let's change the background color of this panel. So we do that from the background tab of the properties panel. Click the background fill, and we can drag the little selector here, and we can see it update on the screen, so we can see how it's going to look as we do this. Now, what I'm really looking for here is a color that kind of matches the woman's skin tone, or the way the light hits her jacket here. So I'm just trying something that kind of coordinates with that a little bit. I'm not looking for something exact, just something that looks kind of similar. So be a bit more. Maybe something like that. And then we'll select that. And now we also want one on the bottom. And what I'm going to do now is clone this element. And I'll do that by hitting the Alt key. There we go. And if I hold down the Alt key and then drag the element, we get a clone. So I'm just going to take that and put that at the bottom. And we'll make this one a little bit bigger. So now we've got the base background of the page. And again, see, it's not exactly like this one here, but we're not going for exact. We're just going for something similar. So the next thing we're going to do is make this panel on the side. You can tell I'm nervous doing this. My hand is just shaking everywhere. So what comes with it being the first one? So we're going to drag this panel on and make it. And we're just making it approximately the size we want at the moment. We can change it afterwards. Like it's not too important to get it absolutely right. And now we'll drag on some text boxes. And we'll just type in our text straight onto the screen. Let me make it a bit wider. Should remind myself of what the text was. So, yep, good. So, there we go. So CB's asking if there's a color picker. Yep, if you click the background tab, then a color picker pops up. Patrick is asking if I'm on a Mac, and yes, I am actually on a Mac. Basically, I'm not the technical one of the company at all. So basically, I was told that like the company pays for the equipment, but the company gets to tell me what that equipment is. Otherwise, I'm the one who has to fix it, and the company like Macs. So that's what we've got. But I actually quite like it. So now we're going to change how this text looks. Now you can highlight anything in here, and you can change things one element at a time by changing the fonts and changing the size and that kind of thing over here. But the way I actually prefer to do it is through the default styles feature. And to do this, you go to the page menu up here and select default text styles. And you'll see that Convertri has default styles available for the paragraph style, heading 1, heading 2, and hyperlinks. And this means we can change the default style and have every text element that is using that style update at the same time. So here I'm going to go with Lato for my body font. Font size 16 is fine, I think, but I'm going to up the line height because I like a bit more white space. I like a bit more white space. I think it makes things read a lot better. And you can see now that every text box using that style has changed. I haven't had to update them one at a time. We can do the same thing with the header 1 style. So I'm going to make that Noto Sans, and we'll make you 24. And yeah, bold is good. And again, I'll up the line spacing a little bit. Now you see nothing on this page has changed at the moment after we updated that default style, and that's because none of the text elements are currently using that style. But we can change that if we select this text element and we go to More in this bar up here, and you can see default style selectors. So we'll go with heading 1, and that just changes into what we told Convertri that heading 1 was going to be. Now we'll just add another couple of text boxes for the text around the form. And we'll make that a bit smaller and center it. I'll do that again. Now you might notice I'm not worrying about lining anything up at the moment. That's because we're going to sort all that out at the end when we've got all the elements like in this section, because there's a couple of alignment features in Convertri that make that really easy. So there we are. And now we need to add the form elements. And we can find those in the form elements area on this toolbar. And you see there's a set of different pre-done elements for first name, last name, and email. There's also a generic text input where if you want to collect some different information, you can drag just a generic input on and then set it up later. There's different types, so there's checkboxes and radio buttons and drop downs, and submit is where you get the actual submit button from. So we're going to drag on a first name element. And we're going to drag on an email element. And we're going to drag on a submit button. And we'll change the size of this text through the input properties area. And again, we'll make you notice sans, and I'm going to take the font size down to 14. There we go. On the button, see it's set to submit already, so when someone clicks the button, it'll submit the form. And we'll change that text to download now. Font family, again, we'll go to Noto Sans. And now, so we've got all the elements there, but they're a bit all over the place at the moment. We want to line them up properly. So first thing we're going to do is switch on element outlines. This adds these pink borders around so you can basically so you can see where all the elements are. And we're going to put you up a bit. And we're just kind of raising everything. Yeah, something like that. And now we want everything centered inside that panel so it looks nice. So what we're going to do is we select this panel and we go to the alignment options, which are this section here on the quick actions toolbar. And if we hit the down arrow, you can see there's a lot of different options in here. If we select center align, it just lines up everything inside that panel. So maybe we'll make you a bit narrower there. So now all we have to do is change the background. And we'll make that into white. And we're also going to take the opacity down a bit, and you can change that with this slider on the right. So you can change it to fully transparent, fully opaque, or somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to put it like that, so you can just see like a hint of the background coming through. And we'll select that, that's fine. And now the last thing we've got to do on this page is add the privacy policy link. So we'll do that with another text element. Center the text, and we can add the link from the hyperlink button up here. And we'll make this open in a new tab because we don't really, well, if someone clicks this, we don't really want them leaving our page entirely. We'd rather it just opened in the new pad, like opened in the new tab. They can go and have a look and then they can come back. And that is pretty much the whole page, I think. There's, oh no, one thing we did forget. We're going to round the borders off. So we can do that by selecting the border radius option, and we'll make that, say, 15. There we are, lovely. So let's just see what's come up. Branislav wants to know, where did I find the box to write text? That is from the text element over here in the toolbar. Again, you can just drag it straight on and then type straight into it. Patrick is asking what the Alt key on the Mac is, and to be honest, I thought it was still just the Alt key. I've actually got a standard keyboard wired into my laptop, because at the moment that's shut down. I'm just looking at it on a bigger screen. Um, so I've got to be honest, I'm not entirely sure, but it'll be the one next to the spacebar. Darren wants to know if the session is being recorded, and yes, it is. We're recording the call. As long as the recording all works fine, then the replay will go up in the knowledge base, probably toward the end of Tuesday next week. Patrick is asking if the opt-in elements have to be linked to the autoresponder. They absolutely do, and we'll be doing that in a little bit later after we've made the thank you page. No, Dave sorted it for me. Option is the Alt key on the Mac. Thank you very much, Dave. Good to know that one of us is competent. Avi's asking, where does the information of the name and email go after someone hits submit? It will go into your autoresponder, which again we'll set up in probably in the next 5 minutes. We'll just do the thank you page first. CB wants to know, is it possible to add a term of services or other links alongside the privacy policy in the same way? It absolutely is. You can just do exactly the same thing, just type terms of service and link it to wherever you want it to go. John says it'd be useful to have a Word doc which lists the steps that we're illustrating. Again, very good point. Yeah, I think we can probably put one of those together. It's possible we might already have one in one of the onboarding sections, but I will find out. If we don't have one, I will get Beth to write this up as a step-by-step, and that can go in the knowledge base as well. Aaron is asking if you can add videos from Pixabay. You definitely can. You can't add them via our image element, but you can add them via either custom HTML, or if you've downloaded them and if you're hosting them yourself, then you can add them via our own video element. David would like to see what I click to center everything at the same time. Let me just show you that again. So we'll just drag you a bit to the side. Then what you do is you select the panel which contains all the elements you want to center. Then on this bar up here, there's an option here for different alignment settings. And you click on the down arrow next to that, and you can see there's a load of different options to pick from. So you can left align everything, you can top align it. The one you want is center align, which is here, and click that and everything snaps into place. With a message box added, can a visitor be directed directly to my email? Yes, you can definitely do that. That's one of the options for wiring up forms. You can turn it into effectively a contact form. The user's message will get sent to your Convertri account email. Dale's asking, with the Pro version, can you host videos? Yes, you did get some. I believe it's 100 gigabytes of space on the Pro account for your hosted videos, but yes, that's included. Saida asks if it's possible to remove an element from the mobile design but leave it on the desktop. It is. I will show you how to do that in the second part of this demo. Do we create the privacy policy within Convertri? We don't provide privacy policies or legal docs because, to be honest, mostly just because the legal requirements are different everywhere in the world. We can't know everything you're going to need to do. And there are generic ones which are available online which cover most jurisdictions, so they're fairly easy to come across. Oh, you mean the privacy policy page? Yes, you can absolutely create that in Convertri. And David's asking, can you go over how to set up a Convertri domain and with a subdomain of our own? I can't do that in this webinar. That's going to take a bit more preparation, mostly because I'm not very good at it myself. But we will make sure that gets shown on another webinar. And I think it was also shown on a previous one. I think the one that happened on the 22nd of December, which is in the knowledge base already. So you can check that and it will show you how to do it. Okay, so we have our page here. I think the last thing we need to do is check the mobile view. So we'll click on that. And that looks okay. One thing I would like to do is shrink the size of this text a bit. You can see at the moment it's using the default font scale of 150%. And the reason we set it to 150% is because mobile screens just pack more pixels into a smaller space. So at 150, then the text size on the desktop and the mobile is about the same. Now, sometimes you want that, but you're not always going to. Like on this page, I would like the text a bit smaller. And you can change it through this indicator up here on the top bar, but it is another thing that I prefer to do through default styles. So we're going to go to the page menu again and default text styles, and I'm going to change this to 125%. Now we go back to mobile, and you can see it's a bit smaller. I think that looks better. And the reason I like to do it through default styles again is because if you do it that way, then it applies to everything, not just the text box that you're doing at the time. So especially like if you've got a big page, then it's a lot easier to change a lot of it at once that way. Scott has asked, is this going to be recorded and put in the knowledge base? Yep, it's being recorded. It'll go in the knowledge base probably by the end of Tuesday. Okay, so the page as a page is done. We're going to save that, and we are going to make the thank you page now. So we'll close this. And you might remember the thank you page we're going for is basically the same as the original opt-in page, just with a slightly changed panel. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to clone this page so we don't have to build all that again. And we'll put that there. And so now we are just going to change the text in here. So I'll change that to thank you. Okay, so we've got our text. And we'll just delete that one because we don't need it. So again, we'll delete from element up here. We'll do the same with these form fields. Now the button we're going to keep because we're going to wire this up to our report. I'll keep the download now text, but I'm going to change the background color just to be something a bit different. Yeah, that red will do. Get a bit smaller. And yeah, I'll just use the alignment feature again, just in case things got out of line while I was moving them around. And now we want to wire this up to our lead magnet. So I want to wire it up to Convertri's file delivery system. And the way we do this is with the button selected, you hit the button settings tab up here, and we now change the mode to download. This will give you an option to add a file. Now I've got nothing up here at the moment, but again, I've got my little lead magnet prepared here, so we'll just drag that on. And you can host like any PDF, that kind of thing with us, anything up to like 40 megabytes. So this isn't something you need separate hosting for. You can just do all that with us. And we'll select that. And that is now connected. And we'll save that page. And we're going to publish it at demo/thank you. So this page is now live at neil.convertri.com/demo/thank you. Like, you can actually go there if you want, have a look for yourself. CB saying, I'm building over the blue guidelines. What do I use them for? Okay, so the guidelines are, again, they are effectively just guides. These two on the left and right, they are set at 960 pixels. And that is because if you keep everything within those bounds, you're pretty much guaranteed it'll appear fine on any screen. To be honest, that's a bit aggressive these days. Like when we originally launched the app, it was 4 years ago, monitors were a bit narrower. These days, like you can probably build anywhere up to 1280 and not have to worry about like elements not being shown. And you can in fact change the position of those guidelines if you want. In the display menu here, you can update that to say 1280 and they'll widen out. Whoops. And that was me hitting the backspace key with the image selected, so it just deleted that. You don't want to do that. The vertical line, or the vertical cyan guideline here, that is a fold line. And this is, again, it's fairly aggressive, but anything above that line, you can pretty much guarantee is going to be above the fold, like whoever is looking at your page. And this is important because you like things like the buttons here. It's quite nice for them to be above the fold so the user doesn't have to scroll to see them. So I hope that answers your question. Also asking, can an offer link be added to the thank you page? Yep, absolutely can. Actually, something I quite like to do on thank you pages like this is when you're not setting up file delivery direct from the page, what I like to do is say something like the report will be emailed to you in the next 5 minutes, but while you're waiting, why don't you have a look at this offer? Like that kind of thing. So it's surprisingly effective at getting people to click through. Like I've seen click-through rates of like 80, 90% just by using that line. Aaron would like to know how to remove the Convertri logo from the bottom right. You can do that if you go to the account screen and look at the affiliate settings, you'll see there's an option for whether or not you want to show the Convertri badge. And you can choose whether or not you want it on your pages. You can also change that on a page-by-page basis if you go to the page menu. And up here, you'll see Powered by Convertri badge. So you can either do what it's set to be on the whole account, or you can set it to always show or never show. And then you just choose that setting, republish, and then it'll be done. Chip would like me to go back over the download now button and adding the PDF. Absolutely can. So we're going to select the download button, and in element properties, go to button settings, and you want to make sure the mode is set to download. When you do that, you'll see this download file area appear. And if you click on this folder, you get to select what file you want to download. And you can select any file you previously uploaded. You can drag a file on here and it'll upload, just like you would with the image manager. And then select that and it'll be attached to the button. And now when someone comes to your page, they click the button, that file will be downloaded. Sorry, one sec, just need a bit of water. Alexis wants to know how far down the fold line is. The fold line is about 600 pixels down. I think it's 560. That's actually not something that you can change at the moment. It's something we've been intending to put something in there where you can decide how far you want it for a while, but we've not got there yet. Patrick's saying the button cannot be directed to a URL. It can't be directed to a URL when it's set to download mode, but if you set it to link mode, then you can. Gord says, can I touch on the import feature? Yeah, we can show that off. I'll finish this demonstration first, and then I'll import one of these pages again, so you can have a look and see how it works. Stevie's asking, can the Powered by Convertri link be linked to a Convertri affiliate link? It actually is automatically. If someone clicks a Powered by Convertri link on your page, it'll go to the Convertri website. If they then sign up, then you'll automatically get an affiliate commission for it. So you'll get 30% of whatever they end up paying us. Jamie wants to know if I can show the mobile version. Yep, we can have a look at the mobile version of this page. And again, looks like that. Jerry's asking, what was the page address again? In fact, we'll just click on View Page. See it? So neil.convertri.com/demo/thank-you. In fact, I'll see if I can stick that in the chat. So that's the address of the thank you page that we just made. And now let's go and wire up the form on the other page. So what I'm going to do before going in here is I'm going to take the arrow here and I'm just going to connect these two pages in the funnel planner. And what that does is tell Convertri that people signing up on this page should head off to the thank you page here. And that'll make wiring up your form a bit easier. Terry wants to know if you can copy text from one page to another. You can just copy and paste the usual way if you want. Like you can highlight text, you can hit like Control or Command C and then Command V to copy the text over. Or if you want, you have the clone feature here, and you can clone the entire element to another page. Cindy wants to know how I got the arrow that linked the two pages together. So let me just show you that again. Just put a bit more space between you so it's easier to see. If you click on this arrow little button on the bottom right corner of the page card, so click that and you get the arrow come out. And then you can just click on a page and it will connect it up. You can have multiple pages if you want. You're not necessarily limited to linear funnels. But for this one, we just need the one. So let's go in and wire up the form. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is attach a form to the page. So we'll click on Forms up here. And I'm going to choose an autoresponder. Now, we have quite a lot of different API integrations. So if you click on one you don't have it integrated, then you'll be prompted to get the integration set up. The integration I have set up on this account is MailChimp. So it just goes straight into the autoresponder options, and we can choose one of our lists. I'll just put it in that. I'll do a standard test list. And now we need to select the type for the fields that we're using. In this case, we're only using first name and email. Email is already set, so we just need to select one for first name. So we'll choose first name here. Now what this is doing is basically we're also going to set a type for all the inputs on the page. And Convertri will look to match the input or the type of the input to the type of the autoresponder field. And anything, so it'll send whatever is entered in the input field with the first name type to the field that we've given the first name type. So it'll match them up and do it that way. So we'll hit next. And you can see our thank you page URL is already filled in, and that's because that it was connected with the arrows, so Convertri knows that it should go there. If you're using multiple arrows, then you can use the suggestions list, and everything that it's connected to will be here. So that's done. Now to wire up the field types, or the input types, then we go to Form Field Settings and choose Assign Field Type. Now because we used the preset fields, Convertri does it for you. So you can see first name is already picked, and email is already picked, and it's already set as required. If you used a generic text input, then you'd need to set this to whatever you want yourself. So we'll save that, and we'll publish that at demo/opt-in. And again, you can view that. I'll just stick that one in the chat as well so you can have a look at that. CV's asking, if the autoresponder is not listed, can an HTML code be indexed somewhere? And yes. Oh, there's a bit more water. I'm not used to talking this much all at once. So when you wire up the form, there's a range of different integration types you can use. These are all APIs, but when you don't have an API connected, you can wire up an HTML form. So if your autoresponder gives you HTML code, then you can just copy that in there, and Convertri will detect the different fields that are available, and you can then assign those to your text input fields. And that is pretty much the entire funnel. So that took us, that actually took us about 40 minutes. But I'm also, obviously, I'm trying to go fairly slowly, and we're explaining things as we go along. But that is the entire little lead funnel fully set up. So does anyone have any questions on this bit before we go to the second part of the demo? Greg's asking about phone numbers. Yeah, you can collect phone numbers if you want. This is one of these things where you'd need a generic input field. So we'll just add on like a generic input there. Change that to phone. And in the field type, you can select phone here. You can set your validation phone number if you want. And in the forms, again, we set phone in the field settings, the phone type in the field settings there. We set the phone type in the field here. And that's wired up the phone field as well. Terry's asking, so the thank you page has to be published before connecting MailChimp. I mean, it doesn't have to be. If you know where you're going to put it, you can just type in the URL if you want. I prefer to publish the thank you page first and just kind of work backwards through the funnel because that just makes it far easier for everything to be connected up. Patrick's asking, can we put menus in the panel above the page? You can. We've even got an element for it now. So you can drag that onto the page. You can and again, you just like anything else, you can put that wherever you want it. So you can expand that panel, you can put it in there. And this menu element also auto-mobilizes, so you don't have to do anything complicated with layers or similar to make that look good. It'll just like work automatically. And that was gone through in, we went through the menu element in some detail in the previous one of these webinars. So you'll find that in the knowledge base and you can have a look at that. Patrick's also asking, can you change templates on a page once they're selected? You can't change the full page template. You'd need to like add a new page with a new template and then change them to do that. Don's asked about API settings in Actions. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm sorry. Terry's asking, is there an auto country code in the phone field? There is not, but it's a good idea. I shall look at getting one added in. Dave's just subscribed through the form and it's worked. Thank you very much, Dave. You're a first subscriber. I hope you like that 7 tips for slimming without starving report. Lawrence is asking if the forms can be a survey or a quiz where there's variable paths. People have built that kind of thing using layers, which is this function up here. It's not really what we're designed for, and it's a bit complicated for this webinar. I'll see if I can like work out a good way of showing that off to you and possibly do it in a future webinar. Greg's asking if the info can be collected inside Convertri instead of a third-party autoresponder. You can do that. You can set, let's say you can set it effectively as a contact form, so the details just get emailed to you. And in that case, then the details are also saved within Convertri in the prospect section. So you can just keep them there if you want. Generally, I prefer to use a third-party autoresponder just because it's one of the things that they're a bit better at. And generally, if you're collecting emails, it's nice to have a way to send things out. But yeah, if you want to do that, you absolutely can. Does the label for each form box need to be specified individually with MailChimp? They don't need to be specified in MailChimp. What matters in MailChimp is the number of form fields that are available, because you'll set those up when you set up your list in MailChimp, and that will determine how many different form fields Convertri can connect to. But once they're there, you can assign any type you want in Convertri, and you can collect whatever information you want. Avi would like to know how we set up a contact form. Yeah, I think I can show you that. So let's add, in fact, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so first we'll add a multi-line text box element. And let's just assume they're nicely laid out in a form, so I don't have to show you all that part, because I mean you've seen me lay all this out already. So what we're going to do here is for form field settings in here, we're going to set that one to notes, and you can set it to whatever you want. I just like notes because it's a nice generic thing to use. Then in forms, basically rather than setting up an autoresponder, then click on the email option here, and then toggle this switch. So email notifications will now be sent to the email address associated with this Convertri account. Hit done, and like that's basically it. The first name, the email, and the message, like all that stuff will be sent in an email to your account email address, like when someone hits the button. Really no more complicated than that. Dave would like to see how to set up a question with a yes or no answer so the user can opt in to get the results. I think that's possible, but it could be a bit complicated. I will look into it, and if we can do that, I will set it up on a future webinar. Jerry's asking if Quizitri is included. Quizitri is a separate product. You can, if you want to get it, then like email support@convertri.com. They'll send you the link. There's a load of help material for Quizitri that you can access within the Quizitri app. Everest is asking, can the message be sent to a third party? That's not something we currently support, but what I generally suggest people do in this kind of case is just set up an email filter. So you can set up, in this form section, you can set up whatever the subject, like whatever the subject of your email that you want to send is. So if you put something on here like it can be whatever code you want. So if you put something like that at the beginning of the email subject, you can set up a rule in your email system to forward any subjects with that tag at the start, to forward it on to wherever you want, like which could be your third party, it could be your client. That's the way that most of our users, if they want to send it to a different email address, that's the way they do it. Chip saying he was trying to use the message box, but the message wasn't coming through. Was it due to the form field not being set up right? Probably is all I can say to that. It seems like it's pretty likely that, like, I imagine what happened is that the field type wasn't assigned, because that's normally what happens in these cases. But if it wasn't that, like, send an email to support@convertri.com. They'll look into it for you, and like they'll see what they need to do to fix it. Dave's asking, if you put the funnel in an agency sub account, can the email go to the owner of that sub account? Yes. If you've got an agency account, then you can have the email sent to like the client who is attached to that sub account rather than you if you want. Okay, I'm going to have another swig of water and then we'll get on to the second part. So in this part, I'm going to show you a few different tricks that I like to use that I find make using the editor a lot easier. And in this, we've got a rather more complicated page, like it's something for a cafe. And it's quite nice, but let's say we want to make some changes to this page. Like, let's say as an example that we want to add a new section in here. Now you can move any elements you want, like you can pick them up you can pick them up and drag them. But if you do it that way, then you need to move everything one at a time, which is like, it's a bit of a hassle. You don't really want that. In fact, let's switch the element outlines on because that'll be a lot easier to see. And so to make this easier, if when you've got the element selected, hold down the Shift key and then drag down, everything below will move with it. So you can move whole sections, you can move them all up, you can move them all down, so you can easily clear a space to add in a new section. So something else you can do. Let's say we don't want this menu section. So we're just going to delete that. We're going to delete that entirely. But now we've got this huge bit of white space here. And again, we could drag everything up. But if there's a big space there, then again that becomes quite a hassle. So a good way to do this is to select the element below. So we've got our section here. And then use this button here for remove white space. We click that, it snaps right up to the next element, so it closes the space immediately and the whole site moves with it. Another thing you can do is hold down Shift and resize sections. So this grows a section above while moving everything below it. So these things make it a lot easier to adjust the templates that you've got. It make it a lot easier to adjust pages like that you've built in the past and you want to change up. But the biggest thing that a lot of people can have trouble with Convertri, especially if they've come from like ClickFunnels style editors and they're more like a bit blocky, that kind of thing, is doing like complicated pages with the mobile view. Because as an example, like if we have a look at this page at the moment, if we go to this on mobile, like it's not really great at the moment. If you see, like we've got the 3 headings here, we've got the 3 bits below. The gallery looks all right, but then when we come to the testimonials, the headshots are all separated. These social buttons are on the line. Like we don't really need them vertical like that. And the reason Convertri is laid out like this, to understand this, you need to know how Convertri is trying to lay out the mobile page. And what it does is it basically scans along the page, detecting elements. So the first element it'll detect is this logo one here. Then it will scan along and select. It will find the We Are Open one. It'll keep scanning like left to right, top to bottom, so then it'll hit the image. And it adds the elements as it finds them. So on the mobile view, like logo 24/7 and image all in a row. That part is fine. But then when we get to the next section, now it's scanning along here. It finds this heading, then it finds this heading, then it finds this heading, then it finds this text, then it finds this text, then it finds this text. And so it puts them all in that order, which is not what we want. So the way we tell Convertri what elements we want to keep together is through containment. So what I'm going to do is I've added a new panel to the page. And I'm just going to surround those elements. I'm going to send the panel backward so it's below the elements rather than on top of them, because it needs to be below because otherwise they won't be contained. And then I'm going to make it transparent, just so like we can't see it. Now I'm going to do the same on the other two sections here. So now when Convertri is tracing along the page, the first one it's going to hit down here is this container, and it's going to add everything in that container before it moves on to the next one. So if we go to the mobile view, you can see it's kept everything together the way we want it. And we can see this a bit more abstractly, I guess. If we add a panel in here, in fact, let's add another 2 of them. We'll just clone those out. So something I like to do when I'm constructing the pages is put the structure together in advance and then add elements to it. So if I wanted like a 3-column section like this, then I just add on the 3 panels. Then I'll there we are. Select all 3 elements. That's holding down Shift and clicking each one to multi-select the lot. Then using alignment up again, we'll top align them, distribute horizontally so they're nice and even. And now I can add anything I want in here. Like, let's add these seagulls. And let's add a bit of text. And we'll put you over here. And now if we go to the mobile view, then again, you can see Convertri's put everything together the way we want it. And if you build your pages like this way, then putting the mobile view together, like, it becomes an awful lot easier because you don't have to do anywhere near as much rearrangement yourself. We can do the same thing down here. We can just expand these panels. In fact, let's move those up a bit as well. That looks a bit nicer. And we go to mobile, and again, they're all kept together. And the final part we're going to look at is sorting out these little social icons here, because at the moment they're all in a line, and that's not really ideal. It's not terrible, but it's not really what we want. Like, we'd rather they looked a bit more like they do on the desktop. So again, we're going to add a panel to contain them. But the key part with this one is the size of the panel. Because basically Convertri will only rearrange elements on the mobile view if it needs to. And so if it doesn't need to, if the element is narrow enough to not require that rearrangement, then it just won't touch it and it'll keep it the way you've got it on the desktop. So here, if we go into the positioning, you can see basically any panel which is less than a width of 320, it's not going to touch. So we go to the mobile view, and apparently I'm entirely lying. And that's because I didn't send it to back. See, this is what happens when you don't have things actually properly contained. Just put that there. Yeah, okay. Right, there we are. And you can see the difference. If we expand this out, so that's now bigger than 320. We expand it out, we go to mobile. Like, Convertri has needed to squash the panel, and that's meant it's remobilized everything that's within the that's within it, which puts it all in the line. We make it narrower again. So now 206, less than 320. They're all kept together as we want them. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you. So we have a fairly simple funnel. We've seen a few editor hacks, and I can hang around until 5:45 my time, which is in about 40 minutes. Basically, the idea was I would just hang around until all the questions were done. But last night, my partner told me she was buying me a dinner for my birthday at 6:30 tonight, so I have to run out, which I'm really looking forward to, but was unexpected. So I'm going to go through these questions and see if there's anything I've missed. If there is anything you would like to know, like anything you'd like to see or just ask me, then please add it into the chat. And I will do as much as I can, either for another 40 minutes or until you run out of questions, whichever happens first. I'm also getting a load of happy birthday messages, which is absolutely lovely. Though the birthday was itself in December, we just never got around to doing anything. So she was like, you know what? No, I'm not having that. We are going out. So, so okay, let me see what I've missed in the chat box. Jerry's asking if you don't have Convertri, what is the Convertri tab for? To us, that's mostly just because it's there as an easy integration. It's another one of our products, so we like to make it nice and obvious. If you don't have Convertri, then I don't think it does very much, but I know a lot of our users have found some hacks for using it. I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sure how they managed it. There's one of the things I actually love about Convertri. So often, in the Facebook group, I see people share pages they've built and websites and that kind of thing, and I'm just looking at it thinking I have no idea how you did that. I helped build this system. I've been the product manager here for quite some time now, and I have no idea how they've done the things they've done with it. It's really cool. I love it a lot. Let's. CB's asking, can a logo be added? I'm sorry, CB, I've lost the context for that now. Where were you looking to add a logo? Lawrence is saying we should consider setting up all-day or multi-day seminars on the platform from A to Z. And I got to be honest, I would love to do something like that. I really would. It's just a matter of resources and also commitment. I mean, not just commitment for us, having asking people to set aside a full day or even 2 or 3 days at a time for this kind of thing. Some people would be able to do it, but not everyone would. I think it's far easier for people to spend an hour or 2 hours now and then. That's not to say we won't do it at some point, but I'm not sure quite how we'd arrange that. Uh, Lawrence is also asking, do we offer a build service? We don't offer a build service personally, but if you post in the Facebook group, I know there are a lot of users who do. There's plenty of people who build Convertri funnels for other people. So if you post in there with what you're after, then I'm sure someone there will be able to help. Oh, adding a logo to the landing page we made before. Yeah, absolutely. You can add it as an image and then add that logo on just like any other image. And there's also a load of belated happy birthday. So, and yes, we are definitely going to go celebrate it anyway. She was adamant about that. Cindy's asking, can Convertri be used on a WordPress platform? It can kind of. We have a WordPress plugin. In fact, let me just show that to you. So in the account area, I believe you'll see there's a link here where you can download the Convertri connector plugin. And what this will do, if you install this on your WordPress site, you'll be able to give it the URL of any Convertri page that you've published, and it will then display that on your WordPress site. Generally, we recommend that people set up a CNAME, put their Convertri pages on a subdomain, just because the speed element is a bit better. Basically, when you're using the WordPress plugin, then while the Convertri page will still load very fast, the browser has to load all of WordPress before it can get to the Convertri bit, which is why we recommend doing a CNAME, so it just kind of sidesteps that part. But yeah, if you want to use the WordPress plugin, then there is one available. You can just stick that on your site. It's pretty easy. Peggy's asking, if I already have Convertri, how do I integrate it? Let's just go back into the yeah. So we'll just put you down the bottom somewhere. So if you drag on the Convertri element, and what this will do, Convertri will give you a URL for your quiz that you've built. And if you drag the element onto your page, you can just add that URL in here. And then you can move it around. You can change the size. You can adjust it like you would any other Convertri element. NA, if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I do apologize. But they're asking, is there any live chat or calling possibilities to ask questions when they're in the work process? We don't currently offer that. We do find so we are in the Facebook group quite a lot, both myself and Andy and quite a lot of our team. So you'll get a response pretty quickly if you post a question in there. And honestly, often as not, the people in there, they are so helpful. I love them to bits. Often as not, they're faster getting responses than we are. So. Can you give us the link to the Facebook group? I absolutely can. Let's there we are. We'll just stick that in the chat as well. There you are. So we approve people for that group every morning. So if you're not in there yet, then all you need to do is apply. We'll go through the so we go through the applicants every morning. I'll recognize your name from the webinar list here, so you don't have to worry about not getting in. Chip's asking about connecting multiple pages. So let's so let's say you've got a funnel that looks a bit more like that, where someone could be directed to either one of these two pages from the first one. Now, if all you want is a button to link to one of the pages, then we can add the button on the page. We set the mode to link, and all you need to do is to whatever URL you published your pages on, just type it in there, and that button can then direct to them. For the more complicated integrations, like with the forms where they're being automatically sent on, then if we go into this form setup, and actually no, we want the thank you page. Oh, sorry, I see what I've done there. I was expecting to see 2 URLs, but the reason that I'm not is because I haven't published the other page yet, so it doesn't have a URL. So let's publish that at demo/coffee. So again, we'll go into the form, select the thank you page, and it's still picked like the thank you automatically, but now there are both options here. So anything where the arrows are connected, then those URLs will be suggested to you, so you can just pick whatever page in your funnel you want them to be sent on to. So does that answer your question? Saeed is asking, did I cover removing an element from mobile view but keeping it on the desktop? I did not. I completely forgot about that. I will fix that now. So the way you do this is there are two show on options up here. So show on desktop and show on mobile. And by default, every element is both of them. So if we go to the mobile view, then you can see everything is here. Now let's say we don't want that button to appear on mobile. So we just go up here and switch it off. So now I see desktop is blue, mobile is gray. That means this button appears on the desktop view, but not on mobile. So if we go to mobile, it's not there. And Convertri is telling us like we can't see that element that we've got selected because like the visibility isn't switched on. We can switch it back, and it comes back. You can also do exactly the same thing the other way around. Like if we have that element there, we can switch it off on desktop, and now that's no longer there, and we can switch it back again. GP is asking, like, on the checkout page after they put in their credit card info, there's usually a box asking to send the address above or not. How do you add an address box and send to the address below? So again, you can build that just with the form elements. So first name and last name and email are the ones that we've got preset, but again, if you want different ones, you can just add in your text element, change that to something like address line 1, and wire it up just the way we saw a bit earlier, like on the autoresponder forms. Alternatively, we do have a checkout option on the button, which is one there. This isn't something I can show off on this one because I don't have a product set up on this account. But if I did, then you can select the checkout, wire up, like you can select which one of your products you want to connect it to. And then when someone clicks that button, it will pop up a modal checkout where all this is built for you. So you'll have like the name, the email, the address box. You can choose which field you want to capture. And that will all just be laid out for you, like so you don't have to do it all yourself. Okay, Avi's saying, whenever I add a new section or image to a new page, the mobile page, place it at the bottom of the page, and then I need to drag it to the correct place. Is there a way to have Convertri place the content in the appropriate place without dragging? Yes. Or at least kind of. Basically, after the mobile view has been altered, so at the moment, we haven't touched this mobile view at all. Like we haven't changed any elements, like we haven't moved things around. So we can add new elements in. So let's say I wanted a new panel down here. and maybe a new one. Yeah, but new one at the top there, something like that. And as you see, Convertri has put them, let's say, at the bottom, because now it's a new page, like it doesn't know where we want them. That is what the remobilize button is for, and that will rerun the automatic mobile conversion. So we hit that, we click on remobilize page, and Convertri will, again, take its best guess on where to put those elements based on where you've got them on the desktop page. So that bottom panel is at the bottom, and this other one we put in is slotted in at the top. Now, what this will do is if you've moved any of this around yourself, like let's say you decided you wanted your forms something like this, when you hit remobilize, all that stuff will be undone. So it's always best to do, basically it's always best to lay out your desktop page as much as possible before going to the mobile view, just to having to avoid like any custom work like that you're doing, to avoid having to do that multiple times. Peggy's saying, I'm a charter member who bought from day one. How many templates do I have? Got to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Probably in the region of, if you haven't upgraded to Pro, then probably in the region of 50 or 60. If you have upgraded to Pro, I think the collection is more like 300 or 400 now. John seems to be having some webinar connection problems. Yes, we are still broadcasting. Avi would like to know how to have the images split into multiple boxes. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Could you explain a bit more, please? Lawrence is asking, is Convertri Clubhouse the official group on Facebook? Yes, it is. Thomas would like to know where he can find a link to upgrade to the agency level. Now, if we were in any way a sensible company, we would just have nice buttons in the app where people could click and it would just do that. We're not. Apparently, we hate money. You can upgrade to agency if you like. Just email support@convertri.com. Tell them what you would like to do. In fact, again, I'll just put the email address in there. Let them know what you'd like to do, and they'll be able to send you a link. Like whatever the best deal is at the moment, they'll be able to send you a link. They'll be able to sort you out. Cindy's asking what a CNAME is. CNAME is a way of like connecting a subdomain to the Convertri system. So you might have a domain like cindy.com. CNAME is how you might connect a subdomain like orders.cindy.com to a system like Convertri, so you can publish your pages directly there. Graham is asking, can we add a messenger chatbot window to Convertri pages? That's not a feature we have ourselves, but it is possible to do. Most features like that, or most products like that, get added via custom scripts. And you can add those if you go into the page menu and click custom scripts here, then add page script. You can just give your script a name. You can add the code in here. Most of this stuff, like 90-95% of it, just works straight out of the box with Convertri. So just add it in there and you should be fine. CV saying, can we split test the landing pages? You absolutely can. To do this, go to the three dot menu up here on the landing page card and select Start a Split Test. And this will create two different variants. So the first one is like the main one, or like that's the original page. You can also edit your variant. And you can change this however you want. So let's say we wanted to test a red headline. And we hit publish. And we get a warning here that it'll publish the entire split test. So it'll publish like both versions of the page. Hit continue, and yep, there is fine. And now if you go to the neil.convertri.com/demo/opt-in, which is in the chat, about 50% of you will see the version with the black headline and 50% of you see the version with the red headline. And you'll be able to see the conversions and the visitors in here. When you've decided or when you've got enough data, you can click Stop the Split Test, and that will declare the winner. It'll get rid of the losing page, and it'll send everyone to the winning page. Chip's asking, what is the best way to handle adding a blog page, and will SEO work as well as it does on WordPress? To be honest, if anything, SEO will probably work better because page speed is just such a good thing for search engine optimization. It's clearly not the only factor. Like Google ranks things on a lot of things, but page speed is very important, and we're very good at that. Though for blogs, we're not really a very good platform for that. Like a lot of blogs generally require a lot of pages to be updated at once. Like if you want to add, say, a different link into a header or that kind of thing. And that is something we don't currently support. So if you want a blog, I would still recommend sticking to WordPress. Elaine is asking, is there a knowledge-based video on integrating a calendar or scheduling function into a Convertri page? I believe there is. I think if you look up Calendly in the knowledge base, then I'm pretty certain there's a video in there that will show you how to do that. Graham is asking, do we have any plans to be able to edit the web components like adding text boxes and images and so on while in the mobile editing view? Kind of. Basically, we do have plans for this, but it's not something that's going to happen in the immediate future. Like I would definitely like to be able to have more mobile editing options. Like if nothing else, because I mean we use Convertri an awful lot ourselves. Like we use it for all our own stuff, and like fairly often I will find like I've got a mobile only text box and I would like to edit the text directly on the mobile view, and at the moment I can't do that. Like I would definitely like to be able to do that kind of thing, but it's certainly not going to happen in the next few months. Peggy's saying, is there an option for me to migrate the funnels in my ClickFunnels account to Convertri? You can use the page importer for that if you've got that feature. Which, in fact, I think I said I was going to demo that, didn't I? So let's do that. So let's copy the publish link there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run an import on this page. And obviously it's a pretty simple one, but it should show you how it works. So let's just make a brand new funnel for this. So I'm going to click import page. Then we have import from an external URL. Yep, the page is mine. And import. Now doing this might take a little while. It's got to scan the web page, it's got to download everything, and also like we're also running GoToWebinar at the same time. So no, we seem to be in there all right. So go on edit page. And there we are. Actually, this one's a pretty perfect import. That text box is a little bit narrow, but other than that, it's all pretty good. And the importer isn't perfect. It won't be like an absolutely perfect copy, but it'll often like it will save you so much time than trying to build them from scratch. Cindy is saying, you mentioned if I use the Convertri plugin on WordPress, I need to make a CNAME. What is a CNAME and how do I get that? You don't need to make a CNAME if you're using the Convertri plugin. It's a different way of doing the same thing. We recommend using CNAME because the speed benefits are better, but the WordPress plugin is definitely a lot easier. If you want to try the CNAME route, then we'll just leave that. If we go into Account and Domains, then it's this one here. So add Convertri to your domain, where you've got a site somewhere else and you want to add like Convertri pages to it. So you can add pages by or you can add a CNAME domain by adding it in here. And there is a guide that you can get from the link here that will walk you through the entire process. So I'll just stick that in the chat box as well. So there's a PDF there and a video that will walk you through doing the entire thing. Abby's saying the desktop example on my demo page, it shows photos split into boxes. Let's go have a look at that. So I guess you mean on the coffee page? Oh, do you mean these here? These are just a range of different image elements. Like that's all it is, just aligned and separated. Jerry's saying, if we have the Pro version, do we get charged an annual fee in addition to the monthly Pro fee? You do not. The one monthly subscription covers everything. CB saying, if I wanted to redirect somewhere else on the mobile version, where would I insert the redirect URL? You can't redirect to different pages on the desktop and mobile view via a form, I'm afraid. That's not something we currently support. If you want a button to go to a different place on the mobile view, then you can have a mobile only button with a different link on it. And so you have one desktop only button with a link and one mobile only button with a link. And so people going to, like they go to it on mobile, they see a different button to the desktop people, and you can sort it out that way. Okay, there are a few people saying that the audio isn't very good. They're just getting the GoToMeeting voice saying the webinar will begin shortly. I'm sorry, I don't think there's much I can do about that. So it's definitely not everyone, but I'm sure it's very annoying for the people that's happening to. Hopefully that won't affect the recording, and you'll be able to watch that fine. Sorry about that. Cindy's saying, if I want to use Convertri for a client, what style of Convertri do I need? Agency is definitely the best one for it because you can get sub accounts, and you can put like the client's pages in their own sub account. And that means you can give them like their own login. The client can come in, they can do edits to the pages, but they can't make new ones. They have to come to you for that. So that's definitely what we recommend. If you don't want to give your client access to the pages, then like you can just do it on your own Convertri account. Like we don't restrict the ability to sell Convertri pages to clients or similar. Agency just makes it easier, but you can do that. Like you've got the rights to do that on any Convertri account. So, oh, it's good to know that audio is fine for some people. We're definitely having some problems. But yeah, it seems to be working at my end, is all I can say, I'm afraid. Okay, we are at the bottom of the question box. I've got about another 10 minutes if anyone has anything else they'd like to ask, or if there's anything I've missed. Chip saying, any plans to add MailVO to the list of autoresponders? Not currently, but we certainly could do. It's a yeah, basically anything like this, especially integrations, we tend to base it on how popular, they are. So if there's enough demand for MailVO, then we'll add it to the development list. And basically the way we can tell there's more demand is if people are asking, like in the if people are asking in the Facebook group if they're emailing into support with requests. So yeah, I'd suggest email to support@convertri.com with the request. It will then go on our ideas upvote board, which I'll just show you here. So this is where we put user suggestions, and people can vote on which ones they like best. So as an example, you can see that adding coupons in, that's got 26 votes. Adding a social buttons element has 35. Shared heads and footers has almost 100. So that's by far the most popular one here. Menus had 71. That used to be at the top, but we actually added that, so that obviously there's not as many people voting for it anymore. But the suggestion that you make, once it gets enough interest, it'll go on this list, and then anyone can vote for it. And as long as it gets enough votes here, then we'll add it to the dev list. Okay, anything else? We'll hang around for another couple of minutes just to see if there's any other final questions to come in. Since then, can I put the link to the suggestions page in here? Good idea. That's in chat as well. So yeah, again, thank you very much everyone for turning up. I hope you found it useful, no matter how much experience with Convertri you've got. And thank you for putting up with me being a little bit useless in going through this. But yeah, I will do more. I will get better. So okay, yeah, I think that looks like everything. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I am going to go to dinner. I hope you all have a lovely evening or day wherever you are in the world. And again, thanks very much for coming.